Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Spicy Bookish Podcast with me, Nikita.
And me, Tia.
Also known as Ginger and
and
Spice.
Spice.
Oh, we said that one together. Yeah. Cute. Okay, so this is our sports romance-themed podcast.
Woo!
We actually did this because it is the NFL on, I think it's Sunday the 8th of February. It's on a Sunday, and I think the Sunday is the 8th. So when this goes live, it'll be on the 7th, the Saturday. So the Super Bowl is technically tomorrow.
Yes!
If you wish. So we just thought that we would do a themed podcast around that. And sports romance isn't actually something that we kind of read very often.
It's not at all. I think we done Sports Romance Week in like 2024.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
So I will say that I think I struggle to find ones that I really, really vibe with. We tried some dark hockey ones before.
And I liked them and you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't particularly vibe with it. And I actually don't think it was the books themselves. I reckon it's probably just one of those things for me that maybe I just don't overly vibe with it, and the odd book might be okay. Like, I might find a good one now and again, but it might just not be my thing.
Maybe.
Dark hockey, I mean. I enjoyed the hockey ones that we did this week, which was Face Off and Heated Rivalry. Well, actually, we did Heated Rivalry before, but we are going to talk about it in a bonus podcast, which we're going to film today. I enjoyed them. When we went into this week and we were asking for recommendations on social media, I specifically didn't want to just stick to hockey because it's recommended all the time, especially like Emily Rath books.
There's so many hockey
books
many
as well. Pucking books.
Yeah.
Honestly,
pucking everywhere.
When I was scrolling through all the recommendations, I was like, literally, I've said the word pucking or puck so many times in my head, it literally didn't sound like a word anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I was like, scouring through these recommendations, going on to Goodreads, looking at the ones that I thought maybe weren't hockey. And obviously, because we sort of just done Heated Rivalry, I didn't want to overload this week with just hockey. And also because it's the Super Bowl, I was like, well, really, we need football ones.
Yeah.
At least as well. I went super rogue with one of my own personal picks, which we'll get into in a minute. That one was gymnastics, like Olympics level gymnastics. Which is still technically sports. And I was like, oh, that's actually quite a nice twist. And there was a book I've wanted to read for a while. So I added that in. But yeah, I feel like we had a good variety. We had baseball, we had hockey, we had football, we had gymnastics. So it was a really good variety, actually. There were so many books in the recommendations that I wanted to read.
Do you know what, well?
Oh my God.
It got to the point where, because I started replying to a lot of people, and then it got to the point I was like, I physically can't do this anymore. Like, my hands won't work. My hands won't work to reply to all of these people. So if you did give us recommendations and I did reply to you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. There was just so many. I think so many. I didn't realise how passionate people felt about sport romance books. And they generally are quite fluffy books as well. I did add a why choose in very last minute because I was like, I just, again, wanted a bit of variety.
Yeah.
So that was a nice switch up, and it was a bit saucier than the rest of them. Still not actually as saucy as you would think with it being a why choose. We'll get into the book specifically in a minute. I think we're probably going to start with, we're going to go over the books that we did jointly. We'll talk you through the books that we picked individually, and then we'll obviously do the normal, like, talk through them and whatnot. We're going to have a break in the middle somewhere, probably after we've run through the books that we did together. I think Tia wants to ask people's advice about her library situation at home. She's got a question for people. And then after the break, we'll go into the books that we read individually, I think. And then we'll wrap it up. So before we get into the breakdown of, like, the books that we read and whatnot, I was lying in bed last night and I was thinking, because we do really need to be taking a break in these podcasts. Like, we have a tendency to rattle through, and it actually takes its toll a little bit. And especially, like, just, I feel like we don't take a breath, like, we don't take a breather. So I was lying in bed and I was thinking last night, oh, you know, like, what can we talk about, like, on our break and stuff like that. You know, leaving it last minute, as always.
Classic. And
then my mind started spiraling, and I don't know if this is just me. Well, I know it's not just me, but I think it might be a women thing, where as soon as I shut my eyes at nighttime, all of my best ideas enter my brain. I could sit for 9 solid hours at a laptop, at a screen, in peace in a quiet room, and think, right, get some ideas down.
And there's nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
It's just fucking crickets. And as soon as I shut my eyes to go to sleep, That's it. They're all there immediately, swirling around, like building and building on each other. And I'm like, oh, that's really good. That's really good. And it got to the point last night where I was like, I don't want to say they were really good ideas or anything, but I was like, it's usable, you know, let me get it out of my brain. So then I had to pick my phone up and go into my notes app, like at midnight, and start writing down these things, A, to get it out of my brain, but B, also because I knew I would forget it by the morning. I was like, if I don't write this down, I'll get up tomorrow and I'll be like, oh, what was it I was thinking last night that we could do or talk about today or something? So I thought, right, let me just get it in my notes app. And now I'm concerned that I'm going to make a habit of it. And I'm just going to not even try to have ideas during the day and just wait for them to come to me at night time. So now I'm going to fuck up my sleep. Because I'm going to be awake at like 2 a.m, just the light from my phone shining on my face.
Do you never get that when it's like halfway through the night? I could wake up at 2 a.m. and have had a dream about something and be like, oh my God, that's a really good book. That's a really good book idea.
So you're like middle of the night note taker, or middle of the night epiphany.
Yeah.
And I'm before the sleep
Before the
epiphany.
sleep.
Yeah, all of the best. What is that? What is that about? And also, you know, it is a bit of a cliche, but women do tend to go to bed and be like, do you know what I forgot to do today? I forgot to do that. I need to do that. I forgot to call the doctor.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
I need to do that tomorrow. I need to do that tomorrow. And you make a mental note to do it the following day. And you forget half of them by the time you've woken up the following day. I assume that's not just me.
No, I do it all the time. Dinner ideas, they literally come to my brain at like 3 a.m. And I'm like, oh, that'd be bloody beautiful,
You need to start writing them down. Have you written any of them down when you wake up?
No.
You should probably start writing things down. I literally thought to myself last night, should I get a notebook and a pen? And then I was like, but then I'll have to turn an actual light on to like write it down.
That's too much. You can't be doing that.
I thought as soon as I start doing that, I've got to sit up in bed, I've got to write it down, and then I'll end up being awake for like another hour.
Do you know how funny the visuals in my brain are of you just rolling over to turn a light on to write some notes
That was
at the side of your bed?
Effectively, that was me last night, just I did it in my phone.
Maybe you should have like a midday lay down and just hope that
Then I'll never sleep at night. I can't do naps.
No, but don't even sleep. Just hope that some things come to you. Just lay there.
Convince myself I'm going to be going to sleep and hope that some ideas. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't know how that's going to fly at work. Just go to the break room and lay down. So I'm like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm waiting for some really good ideas to come to me.
I need some ideas.
Like, what? Okay, weirdo.
I mean, it's not the worst idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I just about scrape the barrel in the day.
Yeah.
For my ideas. Night time, I'm like, no. I've done that loads of times where I'm like, oh my God, that dream was wild. Yeah. That would make it, or even like a TV show. I'm like, oh, could I become a director? Can I start writing TV? How do I get into
writing
that?
TV?
Can one start writing TV? How does one get into that?
Fuck knows.
But you know, like in my head, I'm like, that dream was so good. I'm so wild.
Yeah. You should start writing that down because we've... spoiler for us, we did discuss potentially writing some novellas.
Yeah.
Or at least starting with one.
Starting with like a Christmas one.
Yeah, I think that would be good. It would obviously be a why choose, I think. No. It would be stupid for us to do that and it not be a why choose.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the research that would have to go into like the why choose element of it. Because, I mean, I've never been in a polyamorous relationship.
No, me neither. But I've got visuals. I've got scenes already. I dreamt about him. I know what I'm writing about.
You should probably write some of your ideas down so that when it comes to it, you've got some already.
Yeah, good point.
You've got a plan of action. Yeah. I don't want to say I hate the thought of us like becoming authors because I don't want to. We're not like serious people, or we wouldn't be serious authors. It would just be for a laugh. It would be a fun time. We wouldn't be out here trying to get, traditionally published with Penguin or something.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think our book will be traditionally published.
No. But yeah, it would be good. It would be a fun time.
A laugh.
I don't think I could write a serious book. I like to think I'd be able to write like some kind of romantasy, but that would take ages, wouldn't it?
I don't think I've got the brain power to write something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only just got the brain power to do a Christmas novella.
Yeah, see, I think when I'm reading books, and actually it's something I'll talk about today as well with a couple of them, is one of my biggest feedbacks with a lot of books that aren't fantasy, romantasy, whatever, is that they're just too long.
Yeah.
They're always just that little bit too long. And I know that's not for, like, not everybody feels that way, but for me personally, and I feel like if I think that a lot of the time, then if I was to write something, I would write it shorter and I would get to the point a bit quicker.
I think that is the key, isn't it? To keep us sort of focused and within the book and actually enjoy it, is to just scrunch everything in and make it shorter.
Yeah.
Like, why one of them, there was like 100 pages at the end where I was like, okay, well, what is actually going on here?
I think I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah. It's actually annoyed me.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we dancing around? Like, we've completed this situation now.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is this?
And if it's the same book, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking to myself, it's over now. Like, we've got to the destination, so why are we still on the fucking train?
You know, it's the 60-page rule. There's 60 pages left and something always goes to shit. So then I'm sat there like, it's going to go to shit then.
Yes.
But no.
Nothing went to shit.
Nothing went to shit. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wound me up.
It was more than fine, actually.
Yeah.
And then the epilogue went on too long.
Yep.
As well. And I was like, we've already wrapped it up. Why is the epilogue this long? Okay, let's go through the books that we're going to talk about in this podcast.
Woohoo! Oh, I had an absolute treat, to be fair, this week. I had the time of my life. So the books that we did together, we have got Caught Out by Liz Tomforde, Face Off by Chelsea Curto, Before the Chaos by Maggie Rawdon, and then Rival Hearts by Maggie Rawdon. So Before the Chaos is the little novella, and then Rival Hearts is where we really kick into the whole situation. And then my book that I read by myself is The Pucking Crush by Tori Chase. And what did you do?
I read Balance by Lucia Franco, which is book one in the Off Balance series. I'll talk about that when we get to it, but that series is long as shit. And the other book was Dance, Butterfly Dance by Reese Rivers, which is book one in a duet.
Nice.
That was the Why Choose one.
Okay, so should we start with Caught Up?
Yeah. So, I feel like I say this all the time, like, if you followed us for a while, I'm going to need to try and rephrase that somehow so it doesn't get fucking boring. But if you
were there from the beginning, because I think it was one of the first sports books that we read.
if you have been with us since TikTok, you'll know that we read Mile High, and what was the second one?
With Ryan Moneybag Shay. Right Move,
that was it. You'll know that we did read them. So we actually read Mile High and we were like, no, absolutely not. We're not doing another one. Then everyone was like, oh my God, no, you need to read about Ryan Shay. We have nicknamed him Moneybag Shay. He's a basketball player. And that was good. That was better than the first one. The first one was just really slow paced. It was so cutesy.
It was so fluffy. Cutesy.
It was still enjoyable. She was a really lovely FMC. But even just like the spicy scenes, it was very delicate. It was very tame. And not that every book has to be not tame, obviously, or has to be extreme, but it felt like it was reading as if the author wanted to take it somewhere, but it just didn't, she didn't quite take it there.
Do you know what? It really didn't match their personalities either.
No, I agree.
I thought that they would be like at it big time, because he seemed like a little bit...
He was, yeah.
Like he wanted to chuck her over his shoulder and all that. And I was like, yes, I'm down for a bit of this. And then we just didn't get it.
It was just really delicate.
It was just fine.
There was a couple of quotes in it, I can't remember what it was, where it indicated that he did have that kind of like big dick energy.
Yeah.
And, you know, did want to chuck her over his shoulder and blah, blah, blah. But then it never quite got there. And again, I'm not saying we didn't enjoy it because the spice or anything wasn't extreme or because it was too fluffy. It was just sort of everything. It was sort of like as if it wanted to get to that place, but she just didn't take it there in the end. So then we were like, oh, we're not going to read the next one. Then we read The Right Move.
Yep.
With Moneybag Shay. We did enjoy that a lot more. He was great. And she did finally take it to that place, and there was some really solid, great scenes in that with Ryan Shay. There really was. But after it, we were sort of like, is the rest of the series really worth reading it? Like, did we get that much out of that book, The Right Move, to continue on? And then we were sort of like, do you know what? let's just
Let's
call
leave
it quits.
it.
Let's call it a day.
And that's fine, because
Yeah.
you can do that.
Absolutely. We were sort of like, there's so many other books out there that we kind of want to read. So, fuck it. We're not going to do it. And that was quite a long time ago now. So when we obviously put the post up being like, you know, what should we read? Everyone obviously was like, Windy City, Windy City.
And
blah, blah,
I'm not
blah.
joking, everyone everyone mentioned Windy City. It got to the point where we were like, fuck's sake, we're going to have to do it.
To do it. I mean, obviously we didn't have to do it, but we were like, let's do it.
Let's do it for the people.
For the bookish plot.
Yeah.
So we decided to do Caught Up, and it's funny because we put it on stories that we'd chosen like Caught Up, and everyone was like, oh my god, no, you need to start at the beginning of the series. So then I was like explaining to like hundreds of people that we'd already done
That
one
we
and
had
two,
done them, yeah.
and we're not starting in the middle of the series. Anyway, that was a really long-winded way to say that we had a fucking great time. And I wish we'd done it sooner.
Do you know what, though? You could start with Caught Up. I don't think you have to read the other two.
I agree. I do agree.
And I wish we'd done that.
This one follows daddy slash baseball Kai.
Baseball Daddy Kai.
Baseball daddy Kai.
Yep.
So he's either baseball daddy or daddy Kai.
Yep.
Is what I was trying to say. And I've forgotten her name already. What was it? Miller. So this was the first book I read for Sports Week. I actually thought, I'm just going to fucking get this out of the way. And when I tell you, I was sobbing my eyes out.
Oh my God, I can't even get into it.
The last 45 minutes, literally, so I listened to this basically, I was sorting out my dressing room. So I just had it in my ear holes and I just thought, oh, well, I need to do my dressing room anyway, so I may as well just listen to it. And then it got to a point where I was like, the last 45 minutes, I wanted to be so engaged into it. I just went and sat on my bed for the last 45 and just stared at nothing, listening to it.
You messaged me as well when you were starting this and you was like, I just need to get this over and done with. I'm going to do it today. I'm going to smash through it.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we even spoke in between, but then you just sent me a picture of you crying and I was like, well, that's taken a turn.
Yeah. It
Did not
escalated.
see that coming.
It escalated really fucking quickly. And it wasn't mainly because of anything. I think it was just everything, the way it was written. It was so far out of the three. Obviously, for me, it was, I think both of us, it was the best out of the three so far. Yeah. And everyone keeps saying, oh, they just get better. And I'm like, no, I don't see how it could get better.
I don't either.
And it gets I don't understand how it could get more reactions from me than that did. I think it was definitely like the daddy element of him being a single dad. Sorry, I don't want to like sexualize that part of it actually. So it was more like the single dad aspect of it and like his son and then her relationship with his son.
Oh, it was stunning.
And how they gravitated towards each other and how she bonded with the son as well. Oh my God, it was just so good. And don't even get me started on her dad.
I actually can't wait for his book. I feel like I may crawl to him.
Is his book part of a different series?
I think it's just a standalone.
Oh, is
it's
it?
coming out in March, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I will crawl to that book.
Oh my God.
Oh my Lord.
Monty.
Woo!
Do you want to give a quick rundown, actually, and then we'll do our ratings, and then we'll have a bit more of a chat about how we felt.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have got Kai, obviously baseball daddy, and we have got Miller. So Kai is looking for someone that can look after Max while he goes on tour doing all of his baseball things. And Miller is Monty's daughter. So Monty is Kai's coach. So she comes into it. So that the first scene is them two in an elevator and she's double fisting Corona beers, 9 a.m. And he's like, his internal dialogue is like, God, she's fucking wild. Like, why is she double fisting Coronas? And they have like this little flirty banter situation, but then they go their separate ways.
So Kai didn't know who she was at that moment in time.
And then she comes back into it and Monty suggests that Miller should be the nanny for Max. And then he's like, no way, no, that's not happening. But he does end up agreeing. And of course, the nanny always falls for the single daddy.
Yeah. We all knew where that was going.
And the other way round as well.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was bloody beautiful. Like, Max was so cute and their relationship just really blossomed. And Kai was just everything and more. Oh, God! I just loved them.
I absolutely...
Both of them together.
Ate this up. Oh, my God.
Because she is not... So it was giving she's not the sort of person that he would normally go for. Like, she's covered in tattoos. She says what she thinks, like all this stuff. And just them coming together, I don't know, it just really worked.
She's probably one of my favourite FMCs that I've actually ever read in something that, like, isn't a fantasy.
Yeah.
And that is because she literally had the sense of humour of a teenage boy. She was the one that was constantly flirting with him. She was the one that was making, like, crude and lewd jokes and kind of, like, sexualised their, like, little conversations and, you know, like, just finding it really funny. Like making a little sexy or saucy statement. And I just really loved her. Her banter was like top tier. I very much enjoyed her little comments straight off the bat. You know, she was just really sarcastic, really sort of like laid back as well. And, you know, she also made no secret that she wanted him.
Oh, yeah. And
from the very start. She was
Yeah.
like, I'll sleep with you. Yeah, I'll sleep with you. It was him that was holding back because he didn't want to do that. Well, obviously that changed.
Yeah, big time.
But I liked that those societal norm things, the roles were flipped in that instance where she was the one that had like that kind of teenage boy sense of humor and made the lewd jokes, and she was the one that was heavy on the flirting, and she was the one that was like, you know, you can take me to bed. There was actually a quote on this, I think it's actually in my phone, where they're having quite a deep conversation, or she asks him a question and he replies, and then he says something like, oh, sorry, it's a bit early in the day to be going this deep. And she turns to him and she goes, it's never too early to go deep in me, baseball daddy. Something like that. And I was like, that is exactly the sense of humour and the things that she says the whole way through. Yeah. And I had such a good time with that. I really did. Yeah. She was so fun. Great. She is exactly the kind of girl that I would love to be friends with.
Yeah. Because, you know, like, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
She's what every girl should strive to be. Because you've got that confidence, but you're also funny. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, should we just do our ratings?
Absolutely, we should.
Okay, I gave it 5 stars. And I gave it 2.5 chili peppers. But I don't know if it should maybe be more like 3.
I gave it 5 stars as well. And I gave it 3.5 chili peppers.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe I should have given
3.5?
Yeah. I think somewhere in the middle.
So I have actually got a few quotes because this guy absolutely floored me. Because given that he was a single dad, when he said these things, I thought I was actually going to melt away. So he said, if you're as terrible of a listener in the bedroom as you are in real life, Miller, I can promise you this, you wouldn't be allowed to come. That was one of them. And that was early on. This was like in the early chapters.
That was in your quote of the month as well, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, and then this one, I think this is when they first slept with each other. Well, it doesn't matter if you see me or not. You're going to feel every inch of me. I'll be so deep, you'll be able to feel me in your fucking throat. And I can promise you, Miller, your body won't let you forget me.
I think I remember that one.
Oh, God.
I feel like where we started with Mile High, like to where we got to in this
stepped up.
Yeah, I mean,
this stepped up big time.
Like the right move stepped up. And then it stepped up again in this one. So I guess to some degree I can see why people are saying, oh, it does just get better. But this book all round floored me. Like, obviously not just the spice. The spice is great, but the whole book itself.
Yeah,
absolutely floored. Even just like, I'm talking about quotes. The lead up to the little boy accidentally calling her mama. And it was just like, he would go, And obviously, if you're listening on audio, it's a lot more obvious. And as soon as he said it the first time, I thought, oh my God, he's going to call her mama. I know he is. I just know it. So then I was literally on the edge of my seat. I was waiting for it to happen. And as soon as he said it, as soon as he said mama, and again, that was one of my favourite quotes in the whole book, just mama. I literally did floods of tears. Oh my God.
It was like proper ugly crying.
Yeah, but we were proper ugly crying. It really wasn't a good look for us, but... I haven't sobbed like that for ages, and obviously it was happy tears, not like sad tears, which was nice. That was a nice change, because usually when we're ugly crying it's because it's sad. Yeah, so that was a nice change.
That was nice.
One of my favorite spicy scenes is, and I don't want to have to 18 plus this video or this podcast, so I'm gonna be trying careful about how I say this, but one of my favorite spicy scenes is when she lays on the bed, head on the pillow, and she tells him to straddle her face and grabs onto the headboard, and then help me out here. Goes to town on her face with his appendage. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, we all know there's a very quick way to say what I'm trying to dance around. But if I say it, it's probably going to sound really aggressive, and I might end up having to 18 plus it. But yeah, he holds onto the headboard. Honestly, I actually have written down here, I nearly passed away.
That's something that we see in the Lord series a lot.
Yeah.
And it's called what we want to say it's called. But we can't
one
say that
cannot
now.
say that. I could, but I don't want to have to 18 plus it, because a lot of them end up having to be 18 plus because we don't know how to
say
control
these
our
things.
mouths. Yeah. I think that's all I've got to say, really. I'm definitely going to continue on the series. I was actually looking at it today, thinking like, oh, when should we read the next one? And I think it's probably best if we just sort of take our time and let it slot it in naturally when we feel like we've got the time, rather than forcing it. I want to be able to actually enjoy it as much as I enjoyed this.
Do you know what? Like, I've really enjoyed doing sports books. I feel like we should do like another sports week.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got so many recommendations as well on those posts that we have a lot of books.
I think that the last time when we did a sports romance themed week, and it was obviously on TikTok, we were a little bit like, we just sort of picked ones kind of out of thin air, and we had a lot less followers then, so we didn't have the same level of recommendations. Yeah. As in like the amount that came through. So we kind of read ones, I think, just that were kind of thrown at us, and it was obviously a hit and a miss, really. We obviously didn't enjoy it enough to carry on. I didn't like that pucking one that we did. I didn't like the Mile High. I can't remember what other ones we did, but I wasn't overly keen. Whereas now, I think that now that we found our groove, with everything, really, including what we like in a book, we kind of know straight off the bat, even just from the blurb, we'll know whether we're going to like it or not. So yeah, which is probably why we had a better time this time round. We kind of know what we're looking for now. Yeah,
I think as well, like, back in the day, we never even used to look into these books, like, because we didn't really know what our flow was or what it is that we enjoy as people.
Yeah, what we're reading.
So we was just like, that sounds all right. It's got loads of reviews, so let's do it. Whereas now, like, we'd look for why choose. We'd look for if it was dark or not. We'd look for who the narrators are, like that sort of thing,
and also things that we know that we're going to enjoy. And Single Dad obviously is one of them that we have. I think nearly every time we've read about a Single Dad, we've enjoyed it. Almost every single time.
Most of the time they're age gap ones, though, aren't they?
Yeah, that is
the
true.
Old age gap.
Yeah, so it was actually nice to have a change on that and it not be an age gap.
Although Monty was on the sidelines.
Yeah, he was. I cannot wait for more from Monty. So I think that's probably about everything I've got to say about Caught Up. I'm excited to read the rest of the series. Don't know when we'll get to it. I'm hoping it'll be soon, but we'll take you along for the ride. We'll keep you updated. I think the next one is Play Along, and then it's Rewind It Back, and that's a series done.
I wonder if we can just read Monty's without having to have finished these two.
I actually do want to read the rest of the series.
I do want to read the rest of the series, but I'm thinking
I'd rather just go straight into Monty's.
It's likely that we would have an age gap daddy week coming up.
Yeah, that's true.
Sooner than sports, and that would fit perfectly. So let us know, because I'm sure loads of you out there will know if we have to finish it.
When did you say it's out? Monty's
I think
book?
March.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely be on that.
Yeah, all over it.
Okay, let's move on to the next one that we did together, which was what?
Face Off by Chelsea Curto.
Again, another one that was highly recommended. And before I even read this, I knew what it was before I even read it, because the last book in the DC Rivals series, I think that's what it's called, isn't it? DC Rivals, was actually released not that long ago, and I did see everybody online reading about it. Where the fuck are my notes?
Don't know.
I'll find it. Panic over. So we did see everybody, or I certainly seen everybody reading it. They were talking about it. I did have FOMO a little bit, but then I looked at the series and I was like, oh, holy shit. Okay, there's 6 books or something ridiculous. And I was like, well, that's not happening anytime soon. And then obviously when we asked for Rex, this was another one that came through a lot, actually. And I wasn't willing to start in the middle of a series, even though I do believe they're all interconnected standalones.
Yeah.
I thought it would just start at the start. And I very much enjoyed this. Overall, I had a really, really good time. And I think you said earlier about Emmy, the FMC in this. I actually think you said it off camera. But she was amazing.
She's a queen! An actual queen.
Yeah, he calls her Red because she's got red hair. Fiery red hair.
Yeah.
And she was really, really great. Knew how to hold her own physically, emotionally, mentally, even against people like Maverick, who were really quite intense, in his sort of sexy golden retriever ways.
Do you know what? So there was a bit in this where at the beginning, I think it said something about him wearing a chain and being in nightclubs popping bottles. Yeah. And I was like, that's giving me the ick straight away. Yeah. Straight away, massive ick. But fucking hell was he a golden retriever?
Oh,
I
he was
loved
the
him so much.
sweetest thing. Oh my God. And when he was talking about like why he did the things that he did and how he goes to therapy and he was a playboy because of X, Y, and Z, and he just wanted to feel loved and wanted, even if it was just for a short time, because then when it's only one night, he's in control of the narrative. Like, they can't leave him, he leaves them, and it comes from like childhood trauma. And I was like, first of all, you're very self-aware, and secondly, self-aware because you go to therapy, and thirdly, you go to therapy, and you know, you're not afraid to admit any of the above. And I was like, oh yeah. So his reasons for being the way he was really trickled out to us through the book. And at the start, you really are led to believe that he's just a playboy, a chain-wearing, bottle-popping, womanizing gentleman. Bear in mind, he's 30, so he's not like some 22-year-old, you know. So I was sort of like chain-wearing and popping bottles at 30 years old. Ew. Yeah. When you've got this like great career and should be knuckling down, you know, taking care of your body. Anyway, so at the start we were kind of led to believe that that's all he was. Very superficial, you know, kind of narrow-minded. Yeah, and that really changes as the book goes on. And their first meeting was great as well. I loved the way that they met for the first time. They were aware of each other beforehand. He didn't know that she was a she.
Oh, it was so good. It was just
but she knew everything about him, and it was a really great first meet scene.
He literally thought that she was a fangirl. He thought she was a fangirl and was just there to go home with him. And he was like, oh, you know, how did you get in here?
Yeah.
Giving it big bollocks. And then she's like, I don't think you know who I am.
Yeah.
And it was
really
great. Hello!
On that then, do you want to give a rundown?
Absolutely, I would love to. So, this is a hockey romance. So we have got Emmy, who is picked to be part of the DC Stars. They were like doing really, really well back in the day. I think it was like 24 years. They were like smashing all the leagues. And they were like smashing it, whereas now they're not doing so well. So they've brought her on so that hopefully she can get them back up in the league. Then we've got Maverick Miller, who is the captain. Again, like we were saying, playboy, likes to sleep around. Yeah. So they sort of have like this banter at the beginning, like enemies but not really enemies, and then obviously they connect in a very sexy way, and then they decide to become friends with Benny's, and then it goes further than that. And it was beautiful.
It was a very cutesy, fluffy, but then also very spicy, fun time.
Oh my god, because I thought this was just going to be pure fluff. When I started reading it, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But then when she started saying words, I was like,
I genuinely thought, I really thought we were in a Mile High situation where I was like, oh, this is going to be subpar when we get to this kind of spice stuff. Because the book really was quite PG and very fluffy. There wasn't, and that is my only bugbear. I've got two bugbears about and why I didn't give this 5 stars. But one of them was that it was so PG sort of at the start and very fluffy and stuff. There was the odd comment and, you know, and stuff like that about like, oh, you know, looking at her and it went straight to my dick. And I was like, that it was so PG that it felt out of place when those kind of thoughts came through. Like he's thinking to himself, oh, you know, seeing her like that, her womanly curves, what her breasts would feel like under my hands. And I was like, whoa, that doesn't belong
here. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it was only few and far between. And then all of a sudden they got together. They were like arguing in their room because obviously they had this kind of like rivalness, if that's even a word. And they were really button heads, but it was obviously there was a lot of sexual tension between them. So then he went to her hotel room one night to like proper have it out with her. And then obviously they just started like going at it. And I was like, whoa, fucking hell. And then he had her up against a wall and she said something along the lines of, well, the conversation, it was quite spicy up to that point, and then she said, well, I could be choking on your Miller, something like, and I thought, and then she called him a good boy, and I was like, what
oh my god, she called him a good boy so many times, and I was like,
what's happening?
Oh my god, I'm blushing.
Literally. And it was like, where has this energy been the rest of the way through? So for me, there should have been probably a little bit more sexy flirty banter woven into it, not just them constantly butting heads. I would have liked it to have not been as PG as it was, if that's where you're going to go with the spice and you're going to make the spice so very not PG. that, yeah, I just felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect between those two things. That, like I said, when there was any dirty words, even before any spice, I was a little bit like, that doesn't fit here.
But you know, like, because from the beginning, there wasn't even an inkling that she was that sort of person.
Yeah.
Like, for him,
Nothing,
because he's
yeah.
like a fuckboy, so we knew that he was sleeping around anyway. Whereas for her, it was like, where did you find these
feel
words?
like, yeah, maybe even if it had been like her ex-boyfriend, because obviously we knew he was a shithead, like, there maybe should have been a storyline of she wanted more in the bedroom. She wanted to explore and experiment, and he made her feel shame because of it or something. That would have given us an indication as to, like, even if she called him a good boy and her ex-boyfriend made fun of it or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And then that would have made more sense when we got further into the book.
Or even if she'd got herself off thinking about something or watching something, then I'd be like, okay, she's saucy. Because she was, in that first scene where they all said all of the words, she was about to get herself off, and then
it all happened all at
then
once.
it all happened, and I was like, oh my god, I did not know you was this sort of person. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, I think you're right. That scene with her, like, potentially getting herself off probably should have happened earlier on.
Yeah.
And maybe she should have been saying some of these words in her head.
Yeah.
And then we would have known. But it did feel like it came out of nowhere. That is probably one of my only bugbears, that even after it was more, the flirty sort of sexual banter came after they had been doing it for a little while.
Yeah.
And they'd kind of established that they didn't hate each other, actually, and they were a bit more comfortable around each other. But we're talking, like, really quite far into the book, and actually I think you needed that at the start as well, and then just needed to kind of escalate it. And it didn't need to be all the time. It just had to be, you know, a comment every now and again, to make it fit. Anyway, I don't want to keep rambling on about that, but that was one of my bugbears. The other bugbear, and another reason I didn't give it 5 stars, is it probably was about 100 pages too long.
Yeah. This is the book that we were both discussing at the beginning.
Yes, yeah.
So I put, as one of my notes, I've been screaming at this book since page 320 for them to at least tell each other that they love each other. And now they've done that. Why are we still carrying on?
Yes, yeah. There was, like, a situation that could have been make or break, but it was resolved immediately. And I was like, well, obviously I'm happy it's resolved, but maybe we should have played on that a little bit more and had a little bit more of that situation happened earlier on, maybe 100 or 120 pages or 100 pages before the end, and then we left that to explore that situation, and then we resolved it closer to the end, because it all happened, the situation that could have made or broken them happened, and then it was resolved all in basically the same chapter.
Yeah, it should have gone to shit, really.
Yeah.
That situation should have proper blown up, then broke it off,
then had
and
some
then
resolution.
resolved. Yeah,
I
and then I'd
agree.
be like, okay, now
To
I understand why
justify-
we've got 100 pages
Yeah,
left.
exactly, to justify those pages. I do get that. I don't want to, I feel like we've concentrated on the negatives, but actually I did very much enjoy this. I really loved her, and I loved their banter together, and I did really love him. I'm actually not one to usually love a golden retriever, because sometimes it's like, oh, you're giving me the ick now, like you're behaving like a toddler. But he was so sweet that he was hard to dislike. Like, he made, like, loads of charitable donations, and he didn't have them in the press because he thought, he was sort of like, well, I don't like it when people only make donations or do good things when there's a camera in their face, so he does it behind the scenes. Just things like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, like, and all that kind of stuff, like how much he loved his niece. He was so fucking sweet. I loved both of them equally.
They were
really
amazing.
did.
The other thing that I absolutely fucking loved, because it reminded me of Wade Ashby, is the mind tattoo.
Yeah.
As soon as that was mentioned, I was like, okay, well, we're together now.
Yeah. You are my boyfriend.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking when I read this, I thought, which book was written first? I wonder if it's just because I wonder how many other books that's in. Ooh, maybe that could be like a niche micro trope.
Yeah.
Like the mind tattoo on the hand.
Because I haven't read that in anything else.
Around.
But obviously Wade Ashby is my boyfriend, so I would know that straight away. But yeah, that's delightful.
That was just solid. That also told you as well that Maverick did have another side to him, so he wasn't just like this really cute, really loving, really sweet dude behind everything. He actually did have the other side, which was, you know, possessive and saucy and everything. Yeah. And he did some things. He really did.
Oh my god, he would always leave you satisfied.
Yeah. And I will say so there was also something else I really loved in this, and it was the question of the day. And I was like, oh, who can I do this with?
That's
like,
really sweet.
Because I was like, this is actually a fun game. And it was basically, from the very start, he was like, well, let's just do one question a day so I can try and get to know you. And we'll basically just start off with like really shit questions, like what's your favorite color, or, you know, what's your favorite food. And they get one question each a day, but then they can put the question that the other person has asked can be flipped onto the other one. So they both have to answer, but they get one question each per day. And that was a theme throughout the whole book, and I really, really loved that. And he said at the start about, I'm going to ask you 500 questions to get to know you better. And I'd completely forgotten about it until the end, which I'm not going to spoil, but it all comes full circle with the questions at the end. And that did make me choke up, because I was like, oh, I actually forgot about that you had said that at the start. And then I was like, oh, that is so sweet. And it was like, the author had written it intentionally as well to get to that point, but hadn't like forgotten about it in the middle. Do you know what I mean? And I really loved it. And I loved how the questions escalated as the book went on to more deep kind of questions. It was just, I really loved that part to it. I did really enjoy it. The way it was written was really good. It was really lovely. But yeah, apart from it being a little bit too long, I fucking enjoyed myself.
I had a really great time.
So a couple of the tropes are found family, which was honestly amazing in this. It was so good. Obviously, hockey, good boy. It's the first in the series. Okay, let's do stars and chili peppers and then move on. What did you give it stars?
I gave it 4.5. I took the 0.5 down just because it was too long.
Yes, me too. I also gave it 4.5 stars. I took 0.5 off because it was too long. Yeah. And because they needed a little bit more sauce in it at the start. Chili pepper?
Chilies!
What did you give it?
I gave it 4. Because they were relentless, to be fair.
So I feel like a lot of the time we were being told that they were doing it, but we weren't being shown that they were doing it. So I actually put 2.5 to 3, but now that you've said 4, I'm thinking I have maybe given it...
Because there was definitely more in this than there was in Caught Up.
I just felt like we were being told more than we were being shown. Like they were implying, the author was implying, like she would say, oh yeah, we were with each other last night, and you know, I went to town on her last night, I wobbled onto the plane and pulled a calf because I went to town on her last night. But we weren't shown that they did that the night before.
So many words.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I actually wouldn't know. And I guess that shows how everybody receives a book differently, doesn't it? Because I've put 2.5 to 3 and you've put 4. And I think it's important. I mean, we literally read the same book at the same time. So yeah, that just shows us, it really does show how you can interpret a book so differently to somebody else. Yeah. I will say maybe I have underscored it.
I
and
could
it probably
take it
is
down
more
at
like
0.5.
No, I don't know. I think
like
if that's how you felt it was, then yeah, just leave it at 4. Okay, should we move on to the next one?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've got Before the Chaos, which is the novella Before Rival Hearts, which are both by Maggie
Rawdon. I think.
So we have got Madison, who is currently away in the mountains with her brother and his 3 best friends. So the boys are footballers and they're like on their last hurrah. So they're having drinks in this house and she's there. She fancies one of them, which is Xander, and she wants to get him into bed, but she's still got her V-plates. So she ends up talking to Quentin, which is the other friend, and he's like, you know what? You know, maybe you shouldn't do it with him. Maybe you need to, you know, practice some things first and I can help you with that. So the whole novella was basically them two practicing like kissing, base 1, 2, 3, 4, all those things, and then they fell in love and it was really freaking cute. I had the time of my life reading this novella.
Yeah,
I was like, I absolutely love you two. And then we got to the main book.
Well, we got to the end of the novella and then it sort of took a bit of a turn, which in all honesty, if the main book had been slightly different, I think I could have glossed over the ending of the novella. I don't think we should spoil... I don't want to spoil the novella. We shouldn't really. But the author definitely could have played it differently at the end and still had the plot go the same way, if that makes sense. It didn't need to be... She made it just this big, huge thing with so many words. And I was like... basically, without spoiling what actually happens, they do say, I love you after about 3 days. I don't actually know how long it was, but I know that it was in the days category.
I thought it was cute. What I didn't find cute was the rest of the ending of the novella.
Yeah. I've actually got here, I love this so much until the end. That's my first note.
Yeah.
They said, I love you way too soon, and this is where it lost me, and the 5 stars. I did obviously very much enjoy it. Absolutely. The tension was
my God.
impeccable. Oh my God. If you've ever read Bull Rush by the same author, if you think about that same kind of tension that was created in that book, it had the exact same vibes. And I was like, oh my God, I just know that the main book is going to be absolutely impeccable. And it wasn't.
The main book didn't hit. Do you know what should have happened? Is that the main book should have just been in 2 parts instead of doing a novella. Because we've read the novella and we're like, high hopes. Can't wait to see what happens. But then we got to the main book, which was 300 pages, and I didn't enjoy it half as much.
No, I also didn't enjoy it. I'm actually going to preface this by saying that when we did the novella, we eyeball read it because it's not on audio, and we did the audio for the main book, Rival Hearts. And as soon as the male narrator started talking, I was like, immediately no.
Yeah.
Like, he is not the right person for this role. But because I'd already started it, and it was quite a while until he kicked in, because I'd already started it and obviously I paid for it, I was like, well, factoring in time that we've got left now, I was like, well, I don't want to eyeball this now, and I've already paid for it, so I'm going to audio it.
Yeah.
In hindsight, maybe I should have stopped audioing and read it instead. I think if you're going to read this book, I think read it with your eyeballs. Do not, I repeat, do not get the audio. This is no disrespect to the narrator, by the way. Absolutely none at all.
No.
Like, he's obviously just doing his job. But for me, he wasn't the right person for this role.
The voice was not correct.
The voice was so wildly off. Like, actually probably one of the most miscast audio narrators I think I've ever listened to. It didn't fit him at all.
The vibe.
No, it didn't fit. He didn't fit the vibe, like the tone of voice. He was sort of really like posh and well-spoken.
It should have been someone like Aidan Snow or Sean Masters.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the route we should have gone down.
Quentin was giving like proper chilled out bloke kind of vibes in the novella, and that really just wasn't carried through with the person who narrated the audio at all. I didn't like it.
It was definitely giving city, high-rise office, billionaire vibes.
So I did mark this down. I rated it down because of the audio. It really did affect my enjoyment of the book. I just couldn't enjoy it. And I thought, well, a lot of the time, like once you start getting into the story, you don't hear the narrator as much. You don't necessarily hear their voice as much because you're concentrating so much on the story itself. But I couldn't get past it. I really couldn't. And it is not duet either. It's dual. So he was doing like the female parts. And actually, and I said this to you at the time, the female narrator, when she did the male voice, fitted the male voice better than the actual male voice
that's
did.
not good.
So yeah, those things didn't really help my rating, unfortunately. I do wish I had eyeball read it. In all honesty, I don't actually really have that much else to say. It just didn't, I couldn't get involved in it. I couldn't really concentrate on the story an awful lot. Yeah, it really wasn't for me. I don't really have much else to say, to be honest.
So my issue with it wasn't the narrators. My issue with it was that there was no tension.
Yeah, there was
zero tension.
None at all.
They literally jumped straight into it. So there was like a 10-year gap between the novella and this book.
Yeah.
And she ends up being a sports PR, and she doesn't realise that the next person that she's going to be working with is him. So they haven't seen each other all that time. They obviously fell out after the novella, and then they meet again, and it was within like 2 seconds that it was like, oh, we're back on. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What
there
do you
was
mean?
no tension at all.
No.
And considering how tension-filled the novella was, maybe our expectations were too high for that sort of thing going into it. But you are right. It was sort of like, well, what was the point in the ending of the novella if this is just how it started anyway?
That's why I feel like it should have been joined. Like, the novella situation should have been a lot longer, and then I would have been happy if this was like just 100 pages, and then it was just one book.
You could have flashbacked the stuff that happened in the novella. You could have flashbacked that throughout the book, because then you would have had the tension woven in as well, wouldn't you? From like back in the day. Yeah, anyway, it wasn't for me. Yeah. Should we do stars and chili peppers?
Chilies!
Okay, let's do the stars for the novella, which is Before the Chaos.
Yep.
I gave this 4.5 stars and 3.5 to 4 chili peppers.
Yep. So I gave it 4.5 stars and I gave it 3 chili peppers.
It was only 120-ish pages, so it's really not that long. And I would actually recommend reading it to be honest, because it was really fucking good.
It was so good. Even if you don't read the main book, just read the novella.
Yeah, it's for a fun
really
time.
Does.
Yeah. And Rival Hearts, the main book, I gave it 2.5 to 3 stars. I couldn't really decide.
I gave it 3.5.
Yeah, see, 3.5, I've said this before, is like my down the middle rating. And I was like, it's not down the middle, it's less than down the middle.
Yeah.
So I would probably, I feel like 2.5 is maybe too harsh. I'll probably settle on 3. Oh, I don't know. Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I don't like doing like 2.75 or anything like that. So I would say
we won't be doing that.
Hovers between 2.5 and 3 for me. Chili Peppers for Rival Hearts.
Chilies! So I gave it 2.5.
I put 3 ? Because I was like, I don't know. Whatever.
So I do actually have a favourite scene, and this is probably the only scene that I actually didn't mind. So she is out and about and she's flirting with this guy called Nick, and he's like watching the whole thing unfold and he's getting really jealous about it. So she ends up going back to her room and she wants to get herself off because she is thinking about Quentin, but she's trying to get herself off thinking about Nick. So she's in bed, she's doing her thing, and then there's a knock on the door because he can hear that she's trying to get herself off, and she was like, He's like, was you thinking about me? She's like, no, I was thinking about Nick, actually. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to watch you get yourself off whilst you're thinking about Nick. And she's like, well, yeah, go on then, come in. So she's obviously then trying to do it, but she can't because she's not thinking about Nick, she's thinking about Quentin. And then they just snap and they have at it, and it was bloody beautiful.
Yeah, that was a good scene, actually.
Yeah.
That was probably the best scene in the whole book.
That was the only bit where there was some actual tension.
Yeah.
That was giving bull rush.
It was, yeah.
Phone call.
Yes,
vibes.
it was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We needed more of that in the rest of the book.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it for those two. I actually don't really have anything else to say about that, and I don't want to constantly be negative or anything about it. It was just disappointing because of, obviously, the way she wrote Bull Rush. I was so excited going into this.
Yeah.
I literally picked it because it was her.
Yeah, same. Because I'd done Bull Rush and I'd recently done Dark Horse, and I was like, oh...
More of this, please.
Yes. So I was like, this is going to be great. And the novella, honestly,
Slapped hard, it did.
And then I was like, can't wait for the next book. And then there was just nothing.
Fall
It's
flat.
like that.
We're going to go into a break now. Should we get a drink?
Yeah, baby.
Having a tea so far because it was morning when we started filming, so we're having a little green tea. But now I think we're going to go into a little cocktail.
A little cocktail.
I think it's like a breakfast fizz cocktail. So we're going to have a little break, and then Tia's going to talk to you about her dilemma, her trinket dilemma.
I got dilemmas.
Okay, cheers. Is there grapefruit in that?
Orange.
I can smell the orange and taste the orange.
Pink grapefruit.
Yeah, I can taste it.
And toast. Bitter orange. Distillate of toast.
Interesting.
Pink grapefruit. Orange juices. Marmalade!
I don't like the pink grapefruit situation, but I'll get over it.
Do you know what? It does taste like marmalade.
And I've got some caramel buttons. Absolutely delicious.
I've got Crunchy Rocks and Monster Munch. I'm like a small child.
Guys, I don't know if anyone is listening from the States. I was looking at the stats the other day for listeners, actually, so I do know there is quite a few listeners from the States. But if you're listening to this and you're from the States, when I was there for my sabbatical, guys, I don't mean to offend you, but your crisp/chip section is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What was the option?
I basically just went like 2 months without having crisps, unless it was like, you do like a version of What's-Its, they're Cheetos. Basically, the only crisps I was able to have was Cheetos.
They do like the hot ones, don't they?
Yeah, and that was it, because everything else was just, I mean, you literally have so much choice of everything. And then you get to crisps, and it's like, why are they all the same? It's just different flavours of the same crisp. That was sad. And biscuits, or what you call cookies. Your biscuit selection, I am a biscuit fiend. I have biscuits every single day of my life.
You do, actually.
I do. I actually couldn't live without them. I mean, obviously that's dramatic. I could live without biscuits. But the biscuit section, the cookie section, that was so... Crisps I can actually live without. I can, take or leave them. But biscuits, no. Oh, it was so poor. The selection of biscuits was so sad. It actually made me severely angry. And I actually don't eat... I don't eat chocolate bars very often, and because I couldn't get a hold of any decent biscuits, I was reduced to go into the international aisle to find British biscuits and chocolate bars to get a hit. So I ended up constantly going to Publix to go into the international aisle so I could buy Jaffa Cakes and Jammy Dodgers. And I was like, well, I wanted to try different biscuits, but your selection is just 56 different brands of cookies, what we call actual chocolate chip cookies. But like, for example, we have like malted milks and custard creams, and we have jammy dodgers, and we have jaffa
Bourbons.
cakes and chocolate bourbons, and then don't even get me started on M&S biscuits. Oh. And it was just so sad you just didn't have that. I mean, there was like the bakery section where, you know, they'd made sort of different types of cookies, and maybe there was like, it wasn't shortbread, but it was sort of along those lines. But that was only in like the bakery section. But there was no just like packets of biscuits. So I ended up having to buy chocolate bars as well. Like I said, I don't actually eat chocolate bars very often at all. So I was buying like Mars bars and Twixes and stuff as well. And obviously they only sold them in like the super XL sizes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bought the Mars bar, and I think it cost me about $6. Now listen, I know I was in Publix, so I know it was probably going to be expensive. But still, $6 for a Mars bar?
XL.
That was like a fiver.
I bet they're Mars bars. So you know, like a Mars bar here is like that big now.
Yeah, it was bigger than that, yeah.
But I bet they double down.
Yeah.
I just thought ASMR.
Oh, yeah. Does anyone like... No, I don't know. A lot of people don't like this hearing people eat, do they?
Sorry about that. I've got a dilemma, so I need help. So when I was doing my library, I basically bought loads of trinkets, so like little bits that you can put on all the books. But I went on like Temu and Shein, whatever it's called. And I just bought loads of stuff, and you know, like now, it just looks like a kid has thrown up in the library. Like, that's what it looks like. So I need help. I need suggestions on where to get like some decent stuff, because I'd be happy to just have like 5 things, but they look really good. So one of the things that I bought was like a figure, like no face or anything, but it's got writing all over it, and then it's reading a book. But because I'm pretty chaotic, I've thrown it off the shelf and it's got no head now. So like, and I bought a few of those and they've lost limbs. There's no limbs to half of them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen the way you cause destruction and just leave things everywhere. That does not surprise me at all.
I can't help that. I am what I am. So yeah, so I need somewhere decent to buy some decent stuff. Like I've got like this really cute little black rose situation. That's quite nice. But other than that, it all looks like shit, to be honest. My books look really good.
So I got a couple of bits from Etsy. The other thing with Etsy is it's expensive as fuck. So I got a few bits on there. I got my dragon from Etsy.
So I bought one of those things, like the dragon thing, but it's got a skull in it and it's already broke. The skull is no longer in the box.
Where did you buy it from?
Temu.
That's probably why it broke.
Yep.
How much was it?
£2.
No wonder it broke.
So what I did, I spent like £100 on 500 things.
On tat.
On just pure shit. So, which is all half broken. So now there's like a head there, the rest of its body's over there. There's just stuff everywhere. And it looks absolutely insane. I bought this really tiny wine bottle and a really tiny wine glass, which are just sat on the shelves, but it doesn't go with anything. So it looks so out of place.
So, what is the question that you're trying to ask everyone? Where can you get good, nice, bookish things? Where can I get good tat?
Yeah, I only want 5 things. But I want it to be nice. I don't want it to break. That's it, really.
Yeah.
So happy for it to be like a chilly sort of vibe, spicy sort of vibe, but there may be something that could be cowboy related, so that can go in that section. Something a little bit fantasy.
Oh, yeah, so I guess it doesn't.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't have to be bookish because you can make it bookish, can't you? Because it'll fit the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where can Tia get good tat? I've got too many books on my shelf now for tat. I'm actually having to rejig my shelves, which I'll probably do today, because I brought some of the books in here, which if you're watching video you'll be able to see. So I had empty gaps, and now I've bought a shit ton more books since then. So I'm gonna have to rejig my whole bookshelf. So I actually don't have any space for tat anymore. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to discuss the books that we did separately.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick us off first because I've got 2. And the last one I wasn't intending to put in, but I ended up finishing it. I didn't force myself to finish it for today. I just did finish it. So I thought, well, I may as well include it. And I'd put it on stories on Instagram. So I thought I may as well include that one. So like I said earlier, my 2 that I chose for myself. So I can't remember if we said this at the start, but we chose 3 we did together. And then we chose a book each, didn't we? Yeah. So I did Balance, which is number 1 in the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco. And I did Dance Butterfly Dance by Reese Rivers, which is book 1 in a duet. And I will continue both of these. I'm probably less likely to continue balance all the way to the end. And I'll talk about why now. I'm actually going to talk about this one first, just to sort of like get it out the way. I went on a bit of a roller coaster with balance. I really, really did. I had a major wobble somewhere in the middle. And it was because I put too much trust in someone's review and didn't bother fact checking. So that just shows how important it is that you actually fact check your facts.
It was carnage. I had messages every 2 seconds.
Yeah, I really went on a journey.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about very quickly about the book, because the rundown isn't all that much, because there isn't actually that much plot itself. Like the romance between them is the plot. So it's an age gap romance between a gymnast and her coach. The coach is Russian. So I went into the book and then I actually didn't really pick up how old she was. And I don't know if that was from my lack of attention. Maybe I missed it. I must have missed it. And then it got to a point where it was describing how old he was. And he was 32. And I was like, that's not late in life. That's still pretty young. And I was like, at this point where we got to his age, I had assumed that she was roughly around 21 years old. And I was like, that's only 11 years. That's not 21 and 32. That's not a big deal at all. And then at some point, the word teenager was thrown out. And I was like, well, I don't know. She must be 19 then. And I thought, okay, whatever. We read books where they're 18, 19 all the time, especially in fantasy books. And then I kept reading. I was like, no, I actually need to know how old she is, because at the time it wasn't being said, and I was flitting between just audio and immersive, and I hadn't seen it physically written down for the times where I was looking at the words, and I didn't recall hearing it. So anyway, I was like, well, let me just go and find out how old she is. So I went onto the book, looked at the blurb, didn't say it, and then I looked at, there was a review at the top, and this woman had said that she was very young, very, very young teen, and I was like, oh shit balls, fuck me. And then I felt so icky and dirty, and I was like, oh, bear in mind, no spice had happened at this point, by the way, thankfully, because I don't know how I would have felt if I had. There was a lot of tension, and there was one very specific tension scene as well. But once I'd read that review saying that she was really fucking young, and I was like, oh no, now I can't go on. I physically can't read this. And then there was a couple of in the comments, and I think someone said, oh my God, is she? Something like that. So I really went back and forth on whether I was going to carry on or not. Like, I was so fucking close to DNFing it. And I thought, look, I'm in the middle of a chapter. I know it's not spicy, so I'm just going to finish the chapter and see what happens. And then her age did come up, literally a couple of pages after, and she was 17. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's Dark Notes vibes. Like, she's 17, she lives on her own, she's away from her parents, whatever. And he was 32. Obviously, it is an age gap. It is taboo. It is forbidden. Very, very, very frowned upon. But it was dark. The whole thing was given Dark Notes by Pam Godwin vibes. Like, it really was that kind of energy. And I was like, okay, well, 17 I can deal with. We did it with Pam Godwin. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try and get back into it now that I know how old she is. It took a little while to really get back into it, because I felt like where I'd been thrown off kilter a little bit and had a bit of a wobble, I struggled to get back into it a bit then. So I'm glad I was doing it on audio, because I could just put the headphones in and just sort of like let it kind of carry on. But I did end up really getting back into it. Now, there's no plot in this, really, apart from their actual romance. She wants to be in the Olympics. She really needs to take it that extra step further. Her dad gets in touch with this guy who is like a Russian Olympian in the gymnastics, and he decides to take her on at his gym. And obviously they grow close. Anyway, like I said, there wasn't much plot in this. It was just about them getting close and the back and forth. There is a cheating trope in this, which, again, I didn't know going into it. And like we said before, I'll read pretty much anything. That's not like a trigger for me or anything. It is what it is. And then the MMC, by the end, I fucking hated him. Absolutely hated him. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to get some kind of redemption from this. So I think there's like 6 books in the series. This is book 1. And I assumed...
6?
I think so.
Right.
I assumed that they were all... I actually think the 7th one... I think it's the 7th one might be coming out soon. Or there's 5 out and the 6th... Anyway. I assumed they were all interconnected standalones, like a lot of kind of sports romances. They're not. They're all direct continuations of this exact story, of this story for these 2 people. And I am a little bit like, how can you carry on this story that's got no other side plot for 6 books that are... This was 572
What?
pages. How can you have 6 books of that many pages of just this story of these two people? Yeah, so it's baffling me. I am going to go into the next book and read it because I'm actually intrigued to see if where it goes and if some kind of plot does develop. But I gave this 4 stars in the end. I gave it 3.5 to 4 chili peppers. Like I said, it was spicy, but it wasn't that spicy. I'd say more than half the book. You know, there was no spice at all. It was just all tension build up. He is helping her with her pose and she's getting all het up because he's obviously maneuvering her into position, so he has to touch her body, and it's she's like, oh my god, I'm so attracted to him, and he's touching me, and getting butterflies. So it was all that kind of like secret touches and the way that they're made to feel and stuff like that, and it is just from the female POV. You don't actually get his POV at all, so it was all in her head. We were in her head the whole time. But I very much enjoyed the tension. The tension was absolutely impeccable. I definitely will carry it on. But if nothing happens really in the next one with like plot, I'm not going to continue on for another like 4 or 5 books.
I physically don't know where that's going to go.
Yeah. And that was it. That's all I've really got to say on that one, to be honest. My last note here is I hated both of them at varying points throughout the book. They were both pretty insufferable, but I guess with the high stakes and the stress does kind of like change personalities because it makes you do things that you probably wouldn't have otherwise done. So they were both pretty insufferable. So I'm actually looking forward to see if I like them at all in the next book.
Yeah, that's good. Highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It's unlikely, but we'll find out. Okay, do you want to do yours?
Yes. So mine was a little bit disappointing. The Pucking Crush by Tori Chase. So this one is an MM romance. Hockey player with his bodyguard. Mafia, forced proximity, one bed trope. Pierced bodyguard, literally everywhere. And trauma flashbacks. So I went into this one because it's Joe Rawdon and Teddy Hamilton. And I was like, come on. If you're going to bring those two people together, this is going to be absolutely stunning. And I think my issue with it was, I don't know why we had to do hockey and Mafia. Yeah. Because the Mafia bit just didn't, I don't know, I just couldn't get on board with it. It just so much happened, but not a lot happened at the same time. And it was all very confusing. Basically, so we've got Max, who is a professional hockey player. And one night he's out and he gets attacked. And he gets attacked by the Mafia. So he ends up having a bodyguard with him that is Luca. So Max is Joe Rawdon and Luca is Teddy H. So Luca ends up being his bodyguard, but Luca has got like secret ties to the Mafia. And I just don't understand what was going on. The Mafia went after him because they own their own hockey team and they're trying to take down loads of really decent players so that their hockey team can do better. And then Luca is trying to help him. And just, I don't really understand what the point of the whole thing was. There was too much going on.
I think I said to you before you started reading, I feel like those two things, Mafia and hockey, just don't really...
They don't go.
I can't imagine they'd mix well.
No. Just sport and Mafia, I don't feel like feels right.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just, there was too much going on. But, I mean, both of them in my ear holes.
Yeah.
I had the time of my life. But that was bad. There's not really a lot I can say about this. I had a good time because Teddy H and Joe Rawdon had a good time. Outside of that, I was thoroughly lost. I feel like mixing the hockey and Mafia elements was quite confusing, although whenever these two went down on each other, I was at their mercy. I had one favourite scene, and even now I'm kind of like, I mean, it was the best of not a lot.
Yeah.
So the one bed trope, which actually only lasted about one chapter. So they end up at this hotel. There's only one bed. And Max goes off to relieve himself in the shower. And when he finishes, obviously he says Luca's name. And then when he opens the shower curtain, Luca stood there like, oh my God. And then it ends up happening, but not fully happening because Max has got past trauma, which means he can't take it from behind because of his uncle. We all know what that means. So that's kind of woven in. So Luca kind of helps him with his past trauma. Aww. And that's really sweet. But I just feel like there's so much going on. And I don't feel like you could have taken away that whole Mafia aspect.
I was just going to say that. Do you think you could take that away and it still would have been...
Yeah. And then it could have been just about the hockey. He could have been a bodyguard just to protect him. And then it could have been about bringing him back into who he should be because of his past trauma. And that would have been fine. But this, I mean, the Mafia thing really did go off. Like, in different directions. There was a saucy club in it. There was a saucy club randomly put in it. I don't know if the characters in this saucy club are in a different book. It would have been nice to know that from the beginning because then it would all make a lot more sense. But yeah, I couldn't get on with it. So my rating was 3.5. And it's only the extra 0.5 because the raters. And then the spice was also 3.5.
So would you say it was a 3-star for the book and then an extra 0.5 because of the audios?
Yeah.
Or like 2.5 and an extra star for the audio?
Yeah.
2.5 and an extra.
Because Joe and Teddy can have half a star each.
Yeah, I was just thinking that because you do like both of them, especially Joe Rawdon's voice, yeah.
And I've never heard Joe Rawdon do this voice before.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
So that
I mean,
was nice.
he really can do everything, can't he, voice-wise? He's really...
Yeah, he's a talent.
He's got a range. Yeah. Okay, should we move on to my last one then? And
Absolutely.
then we can wrap it up. My last sports romance for the week was Dance Butterfly Dance, and someone did recommend this in the comments. I think all the books that we've done this week, I think, was your one recommended in the comments, or did you pick that yourself?
No, I picked that, but it's because I'd had it in my TBR forever.
For a while.
Yeah.
So the ones that I picked all mine from the recommendations. And to be fair, I think I actually only seen this maybe once or twice in all of those comments. But it was one of the early comments, and she had said in it, it's a why choose, and that got my attention immediately, because I was like, it's actually not that often that we would read a why choose sports. So I was like, okay, I'm going to add that into my list, but I really wanted to rebalance. So I was like, if I've got time, I'm going to read this. And I did have time. I had no intention of including it today, but like I said, I finished it anyway. It's another long one. It's 447 pages. Book one in a duet. I did audio that, well, I immersive read it for the most part. I'd say about 80% I immersive read it. Dance Butterfly Dance by Reese Rivers. So Savvy, aka Savannah, is basically this kind of like geeky, nerdy type of girl. She wears glasses, she wears her hair up in a bun, she wears frumpy clothes, like big jumpers, leggings, fluffy socks, that kind of thing. Keeps herself to herself. She's really unassuming. She lives in this tiny little studio apartment, and she works in the library at the college. I think she's like an English major. But she moonlights as like a dancer at this nightclub. It's not a strip club, it is a nightclub, and she just sort of like dances in like a cage. And she has this like butterfly mask on, she puts her contacts in, and she takes on this like other persona, this like confident persona, where she can kind of like really let loose and feel like she can be maybe a little bit more herself, or maybe be someone else that she kind of feels like she wants to be, but she can hide behind her mask. And she's worked there for a couple of years. Over the period of her working there for a couple of years, there's been these group of guys that come in, and one of these guys is called Asher, and he basically just eye fucks her the whole time he's there, every single time, and he's convinced that there's like something between them, even though they've never spoken to each other. He's been trying for like 2 years to get her attention. She won't give him any attention, but she does like I fuck him back, and like gives him like her attention in that way, dancing for him and stuff like that, but she won't entertain any conversations. He doesn't know who this girl is behind the mask. He doesn't know her name or anything like that. So she's in the library one day, and she's basically been broken up with by her shitty boyfriend, who's just a total prick, took her V-plates and, you know, scarpered off and has said some like really mean, nasty things about her. Her stepmom and her sister turn up in the library to see her, basically to tell her that her sister's now going to be going, her stepsister's now going to be going to this uni, and she's absolutely devastated. And they're basically standing there like tearing into her, like just saying really mean things. And this jock, who just previously kind of had a conversation with her, kind of turns up and does the typical, you know, feel sorry for her. So he goes around there and goes, hey baby type situation. He doesn't say baby.
Yeah.
This is me
pretending that it's
spitballing.
That's the boyfriend.
He pretends that he's her boyfriend, goes over, gives her a kiss because he feels bad. And then he sort of says, well, she's been helping him with his work, and she was going to give him some notes to help him with a class. So he's like, oh, do you remember that thing you were going to bring me? If you come to my game tonight instead, I'll pick it up from you there. So she ends up like going to his game, and then they basically decide to start fake dating.
Yeah.
He's like, well, all these women are throwing themselves at me. I'm fucking sick of it. I need to concentrate my schoolwork. Like, my grades are piss poor. So you can help me do that. And then, you know, we can fake date, and it'll get like your stepsister and, you know, other people, whatever, off your back. And it'll keep all these women off my back as well. And, you know, it'll help my grades. So they decide to kind of fake date. So she's round at his house one day. She's tutoring him. They know that there's a snowstorm incoming. She gets up to leave, opens the door. It's a total whiteout. She has a bit of a trauma response to that. It's how her dad died. So the guys are like, holy shit, I think she's having a panic attack. So basically she can't leave then. There's no spare bedroom. There's no spare bed. Excellent. And this is the point where I'm going to stop the rundown. But obviously that's where it starts to really ramp up a little bit. So we've got living in the house, the jock that she's fake dating, obviously, Tate. And then we've got Beckett, Jude and Asher. And Asher is the one that is obviously from the nightclub. So as soon as she sees Asher, she's like, holy shit, that's the guy from the nightclub. Oh my god. But she obviously can't say anything. He doesn't know it's her. Because she's got glasses on and all that kind of stuff. So initially they call her Amy from the Big Bang Theory. Jude sort of says, you know, I didn't know you were dating Amy from the Big Bang Theory, to Tate. But Jude is the golden retriever. You'd absolutely love him. He's the golden retriever. He warms to her instantly. He's giving like Liam vibes, but also what's his name from The Brutes of Bristlebrook that was with Jasper. Him.
Yeah.
Like a mix of Liam from Gallows Hill and him from Brutes.
Nice.
Like proper golden retriever energy. He takes to her immediately, and then obviously they all start to like her very much. And it's basically just about how they all start coming together. And it's actually not as spicy as you would think. There's 2 scenes in this which I do really, really like. I absolutely loved was she obviously has a bit of tension with Tate, the guy she's fake dating. He starts to really like her. She's really nice to him, and he's sort of like, oh shit, I'm actually starting to really like her. And then he starts to see her when she's staying at the house. He obviously starts to see her without her glasses, her hair's down instead of up, so he starts to see what she's like behind all of the stuff. So they're in bed one night. He's like, look, I've got this massive bed. I'm not having you sleep on the couch, not when there's snow out there and you're having this trauma response, whatever. So just please, just join me in the bed. It's fine. Nothing will happen. So anyway, they're in bed, and obviously something happened. But it was like she woke up and his hand was on her boob, and another hand was like, so a hand was underneath her and on her boob, and I think another hand was on her hip, is how I understood it. And then obviously he starts kind of like touching her nipple and starts having a play around, and she's like, don't move, oh my god. And then obviously she's getting a bit het up, thinking he's sort of doing it in his kind of like sleepy, hazy, you know, not fully awake kind of trance that he's in. So she's like, oh my god, don't move, don't wake him. And then he kind of like breathes on her neck and starts like peppering kisses down her neck and stuff like that, and then starts like touching her up. And then it obviously escalates, and it gets to a point where she's obviously in front of him and he's behind, and then they just start doing bits. They do like small bits to each other. He like finishes on her back, and it was just a very spicy good time in that scene. And then there was another scene later on, more towards the end, which was we were in an MM situation, and I was like, I didn't know there was going to be MM. Like I hadn't read about it at all. I still don't know the extent of the sword crossing for the next book. I don't know how many of them sword cross. I don't know if it's just a little bit fluid, they don't mind touching each other. I don't know how far it's going to go, but I'm very excited. I feel like I haven't read a sword crossing Waichus in ages.
Oh,
it's been long. It's been so long. So as soon as that situation happened, there was the 2 males, and she was like sandwiched in the middle of them, and he leant over her and used his mouth and his hand, and I was like, whoa, like literally, holy shit. If I'd been holding the book, I'd have physically dropped it. I was like, holy shit, like I didn't expect it, and I don't know why. I mean, I didn't even look to see if there was sword crossing.
I feel like I need to read this now.
I think you'd really, really enjoy it. It was really good. So it does end on a cliffhanger. It's a pretty big cliffhanger. And I think she's going to be like on the warpath in book 2. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for that. But yeah, the only thing I didn't like about it, I'll give my ratings in a second, was, and I've said this to you before, that I hate when there's a bitch. I hate that typical bitchy bully female that is often cast in these books. I hate that. It just really puts me off. I just feel like it's just an unnecessary thing. I feel like you can always tell the story without having that stereotypical character in there.
Oh, I don't know if I will then, because that winds me up.
It was the stepsister. She's a prick. And yeah, I hate those kind of roles. It obviously makes the story interesting because it forces it to go in certain directions. It just really winds it. You know, like when there's like someone, they're going to university and there's a girl that's bullying them, and you know, that kind of thing. It just really annoys me a little bit. Anyway, so overall I gave it 4 stars. I potentially would lean towards a 4.5, but I think 4 is probably adequate. I enjoyed the audio. It is full cast duet narration.
Oh, nice!
It was really, really good. 4 MMCs, fake dating, Waichus, college, uni. She's an outcast and they're all jocks. Sword crossing, and ends on a cliffhanger. They're the main tropes. And the last thing I will say before I give my chili ratings is one of them has a southern accent. So it's like, hey darling, you know, like you could picture him with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat on. Yeah. As soon as he started talking, I was like, oh my god. My note here, I know you can't see it, it's right in the middle, but it says in block capital letters, one of them is southern. I repeat, one is southern.
I repeat. Yeah,
I was like literally losing my shit as soon as he started talking. I was like, oh my god. Chili peppers wise, I think I gave it a 3. 3.5 to 4 actually. I gave it, and I think that was mainly because of like the the situation, and then when she does sort of like kick it off with them two, it does get really saucy.
Saucy.
I'm hoping it goes off in book 2.
Yeah.
To be honest. So that's it. That's all of our books, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like I've got a sore throat from talking so much.
It's nice to talk.
I'm not keen on this cocktail, I can't lie.
It does taste like toast and orange.
Yeah.
It's like orange
Marmalade
juice
on
marmalade
toast.
on toast.
Yeah. Okay, so that wraps up today's pod for sports.
Yeah, baby.
Quickly to touch on the Super Bowl, I can't even remember who's in the Super Bowl.
Oh, wait, hang on. Let's Google it.
We know that we're wearing Niners jumpers, and we know that they're not in the Super Bowl. But, you know, we're too far down the line now to switch teams, even though we're not American.
This is all we had. Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots.
That's it, yeah. So the New England Patriots are one of the teams that we seen when we went to the NFL in London.
Aww.
They're the team that we were sat behind at the 50-yard line.
So who are we supporting them then?
Well, I don't know. Who should we support? Should we just go for the Patriots, seeing as we've already seen them before?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Aren't their colours like red, white and blue as well? So that's kind of on theme.
Yep. And grey. Oh, I'm going to have a great time not watching this.
Yeah. That's about as much as we can contribute to NFL/Super Bowl talk, to be honest.
Yeah. Google.
But if you're supporting one of these teams, I hope your team wins.
Yeah.
If not, and you don't give a shit, cool. Also cool. We'll move on. But yeah, that's the end of the sports romance themed podcast.
Woohoo!
We actually hadn't done a themed podcast for a while. You know, like Y2s or sports or whatever.
Oh, yeah, but what's the next one?
So we're going to do Valentine's next.
Oh, that'd be pretty.
We do have another bonus podcast going up, which we're going to be filming in a couple of days, and that is going to be Heated Rivalry, book versus TV show. And we are supposed to be including The Housemaid in it, but I think I've got probably such extensive notes on Heated Rivalry that it could probably be just Heated Rivalry.
Oh, I've got it the other way round.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll do both. Okay, so the bonus pod is going to be Heated Rivalry and The Housemaid, books versus the TV adaptations, on-screen adaptations.
Ooh, ooh.
We don't know when the bonus one will be up. It'll just be up whenever it's
up
and it's ready. Yeah, but it'll be in February. So yeah, our next actual proper podcast that will be up on the following Saturday will be up on Valentine's Day. Saturday the 14th.
That's really cute.
Yes, that'll be up on Valentine's Day.
Okay, I think that's it. Cheers.
Cheers. See you next week.
See you next week, baby.